That's right. Today, we have a brawl in our hands. We have a fight in our hands. We have a young, up and coming, ferocious, vicious champion that wants to overtake a well established veteran that has beaten them all. This reminds me of a young Oscar de la Hoya going against the great Julio Cesar Chavez, or when a young Canelo Alvarez went against the genius that is Floyd Mayweather. In both of those fights, there were two different outcomes. One where the young champion came out on top, where in the other fight, the well-established veteran just schooled the new young champion. Let's see which one will win out in this fight. Welcome back to Tito's Financial Corner, where we talk about credit cards, points and miles, as well as travel. Today, we have two cards that have been talked about quite enough and are very, very similar. We're going to go over how they're different, how they're the same, as well as how they compare on a true apples-to-apples comparison. Today, we're going to be talking about Capital One's Venture X card versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. We're also going to see which card comes out on top, as well as which one would be a best fit for you. The first round consists in the annual fee that each card charges. When it comes to the Capital One Venture X card, their annual fee is $395. Whereas for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, their annual fee is $550. Without taking any of the credits, perks, as well as multipliers into consideration, right off the bat, the Venture X takes the first round just because it offers a lower annual fee. The second round involves the welcome bonus that each card has to offer. When it comes to the Venture X card, they offer a 75,000 points for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. Whereas the Chase Sapphire Reserve card offers a 60,000 welcome bonus for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. Right off the bat, we see that both cards have the same spending requirement as well as the same spending time frame for the bonus. If we look at a cent per point valuation of 1 cent for both cards, right off the bat, the Venture X would win. However, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has a nice little niche when it comes to booking any travel directly through Chase's travel portal. And that is, it would give you a 50% boost, meaning that it would give you a 1.5 cent per point valuation. So that welcome bonus from the reserve card, instead of being worth $600, it would be worth $750 if you booked your travel through Chase's travel portal. Then the Chase Sapphire Reserve's welcome bonus would overtake the Venture X's welcome bonus when it comes to value in points. But in the name of having a true apples to apples comparison, let's just even it out at a 1 cent per point valuation. So in that regard, the Venture X would take round 2. Round 3 consists of the multipliers that both of these cards would offer. Let's start with the Capital One Venture X card. You would get 10 points per dollar spent on any rental cars booked directly through Capital One's travel portal. You would get 5 points per dollar spent on flights booked directly through Capital One's travel portal. And then you would get 2 points per dollar spent on everything else. When it comes to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, you would get 10 points per dollar spent on dining, hotel stays, as well as car rentals when booked directly through Chase's travel portal. You would get 5 points per dollar spent on any air travel that you book directly through Chase's travel portal. And then you would get 3 points per dollar spent on any dining and travel that is not booked directly through Chase's portal. So this would include just going out to a restaurant or going out to McDonald's or booking your flights directly with the airline's website. And then you would get 1 point per dollar spent on everything else. And until March 2025, you would get 10 points per dollar on any Lyft rides. So looking at these multipliers, you would notice that the Venture X card has a very, very good multiplier of 2 points per dollar spent on everything else. That is great, specifically when it comes to a luxury travel credit card. However, when you look at the Chase Sapphire Reserve's multipliers, you see that they offer you a different options for you to earn more points than the regular 1 point per dollar spent. Now, this really comes down to what kind of spending you're doing, to what kind of focus you're really trying to do. For me specifically, the dining option of getting 3 points per dollar when it comes to the Reserve card is a must have, to be honest with you. We go out to eat almost every other day as a family or just by myself, so that just overtakes the 2 points for everything else when it comes to the Capital One Venture X card. So when it comes to round 3, I would give it to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. However, I would completely understand if you would give this round to the Venture X card. As luxury travel credit cards, both of them offer a no foreign transaction fee, which is a must when it comes to today's age. Both of these credit cards do not charge you any kind of fee for using it outside of the US. So for that, I believe that both of them should deserve a point. Okay, now this is where we start peeling the onion a little bit more. Both of these credit cards have hefty annual fees. So both of them do offer an annual credit of $300. Now, if we just went by the amount, then both of them would receive a point. However, we definitely have to look under the hood and see what the travel credit would entail for both credit cards. Let's start with the Capital One Venture X card. When it comes to the 300 travel credit, it doesn't cover all travel. It only covers specific travel that you booked directly through the Capital One travel portal. So anything that you do outside of that would not be covered. So it is a lot more restricted, if you would. However, when it comes to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, it is a lot more lenient when it comes to other travel. So obviously it would include any travel that you book directly through Chase's travel portal, and it would also include any travel that you purchase directly through the airline's website, through Uber, or through the hotel's website as well. So again, it is a lot more lenient. So with this leniency, we would definitely have to give this round to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. Then we get to a big one, at least to me, and that is the lounge access that you would get with both of these credit cards. Now, both the Chase Sapphire Reserve as well as the Venture X card would give you access to Priority Pass, which would automatically give you access to over 1,300 airport lounges all over the world. However, there are some differences that both of these cards have to offer, and we should definitely keep them in mind when we see who should take this round. Recently, the Capital One Venture X card was in the news because they removed a specific restaurant credit that was available for you to use whenever you went to a restaurant that would accept Priority Pass. So instead of getting that credit now, you have to pay out of pocket, which was a bit of a bummer since the Chase Sapphire Reserve card still offers that credit to its members. But when it comes to the Venture X card, Capital One is actually launching their own airport lounges, meaning that anybody with a Capital One Venture X card would be able to access these lounges. As of this recording, Capital One has only one airport lounge, and that is at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. However, there are two in constructions currently, the first one being in Denver and the second one being in Washington, D.C., which is pretty near from where I live, so I can't wait to check it out. Whereas with the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, it is a little bit different because Chase is actually creating the Chase Sapphire lounges around the world, with the first one being in Hong Kong, and there's quite a few different ones that are planned to be built within the coming years. However, the current word on the street is that you don't really need to have a Chase Sapphire card to get access to these lounges. If you have access to Priority Pass, you would have access to the Sapphire lounges. So even those non-branded Chase cards would have access to it. So that would include the Venture X card that would allow you to have access to the Sapphire lounges. Now again, those rules could change in the coming years, but as of this recording, the Capital One Venture X card would literally give you access to the Sapphire lounges. So with that being said, there's some exclusivity when it comes to the Venture X card that you would not technically have with the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. So this round would definitely have to go to the Capital One Venture X card. The next round would consist on the anniversary bonus. What do these credit cards have to offer you at the end of the year? When it comes to the Capital One Venture X card, it has an annual bonus of 10,000 miles. And if we would consider a 1 cent per point valuation, that would equal out to being $100. And as of this recording, the Chase Sapphire Reserve card does not have a specific annual bonus. So with that being said, the Venture X card would definitely take this round. The last round comes to transfer partners. Now, both of these credit cards have quite a few different transfer partners, whether that's airlines or hotels. Unfortunately, I can't say that one is better than the other. Really comes down to who your favorite transfer partner is, where you want to fly. Do you want to stay domestic or do you want to fly international? And if you're flying international, where are you flying? There's quite a few different partners that both of these credit cards would have to offer. And as you'll see, there's some overlay when it comes to both of these. One of my personal ones that I'm hoping to use here pretty soon is KLM/Air France. Being able to use two different financial institutions to earn points and then transfer them to the same account would open a world of difference when it comes to traveling to Paris as well as to Europe all around. But again, I just can't say that one is better than the other. So when it comes to this round, we'll call it a draw and give a point to both credit cards. All right, with that said, let's tally up the rounds and see who won. When it came to the Capital One Venture X card, they won 6 points. When it came to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, they won 4 points. So looking at this, we would see that the winner of this fight would be the Capital One Venture X card. So it does seem like the young, ferocious champion was able to overtake that tenacious veteran. But that is as of right now. There's word that there might be some upgrades and some changes to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, which, in all honesty, is about time that it had a refresher on it. So once that said refresher is complete, we'll have to come back and see if the Venture X card would still win out against that new card. So for this specific video, the Capital One Venture X card would win out. Now, does that mean that the Capital One Venture X card is the perfect card for you and everybody else? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the Chase Sapphire Reserve card would be a better fit for you if you already have Chase cards. If you're already in that ecosystem, then, why change something if it's not broken? Why go to another place when you like to keep everything in the same house? That would mean that the Chase Sapphire Reserve card would be the way to go. So again, just really go back through your expenses, through what's important to you, as well as what your main goal is, and choose which card would be a better suit for you. With that said, if you found any information useful during this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as that like button. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Adios.